meeting is called to order. Good evening and welcome to the February 23rd, 2023 meeting of the Southeast Delco Board of School Directors. We are going to have a salute to the flag and a moment of silence, please. Mr. Butler, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes, you may, Madam President. Ms. Perry,
Present.
Ms. Monroe. Ms. Monroe, what's that? Mrs. Peter Coey, excused. Ms. Woodfolk.
Present.
Ms. Harris Johnson.
Present.
Mr. Fowler.
Present.
Mrs. Washington. She's present. Ms. Crawley.
Present.
Okay. Just. Yeah, I'll get this over here. Let me just finish. Mrs. Abney.
Present.
Dr. Winder.
Present.
Mr. DiOrio.
Present.
Mr. Butler, present.
Thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity to briefly review a few of the policies and rules governing public participation during board meetings. In order to speak to the board, participants should register their intent by filling out a card in advance of the meeting, including their name and address and the topic to be addressed. At the podium, it is only necessary to state your full name and town. 3 minutes are provided to each speaker in order to ensure that everyone has an equal opportunity to speak and to permit the board to complete the business of the district in a timely manner. All comments should be directed to the president, and no participant should address or question board members individually. Our participant's statement can be interrupted or terminated by the president of the meeting. That is, for example, if the language is abusive, obscene, or irrelevant, and he or she may be requested to leave the meeting if reasonable decorum is not observed. Moreover, the assistance of law enforcement may be necessary to remove a disorderly person who interferes with the orderly progress of the meeting. Of course, we would very much prefer not to remove anyone from the school board meeting, but we will not hesitate to do so should circumstances require this. Our solicitor advises that given certain circumstances and situations, it may also be legally permissible to bar a participant from attendance at future meetings or from district property for seriously inappropriate behavior occurring before, during, or after a meeting. In conclusion, the board welcomes all comments, whether they may be supportive or critical of the board, as long as in doing so, everyone follows proper decorum and respect. Thank you for your continued support and cooperation. At this time, we want to be really thoughtful and have a moment of silence for the following individuals that we lost as a community. The first individual, his name is Anthony Alexander. He's an Academy Park student. The second individual, Carol Latham, she was a retired Sharon Hill teacher, and she served the district for 35 years. We want to take this opportunity to send our condolences, prayers, and thoughts to the families. And let's bow our heads, please, for a moment of silence. Thank you. Executive sessions of the board were held on February 23rd, 2023, on personnel and legal matters. We are pleased to have our student representative present tonight. He will introduce himself and present the report.
Madam President, can I just interrupt just a quick second? I neglected to ask if the student representatives were present. So if I could just do that real quickly.
Okay, sure.
Ms. Al-Hanif is excused, and Mr. Nathan Frazier.
Present.
Thank you. My apologies.
Good
Order, Madam President.
Please share your report.
Point of order, Madam President.
Yes, Ms. Monroe-Whitsett.
Oh, the letter you just wrote, you just read, that was on behalf of yourself, correct?
The solicitor wrote the letter for me to share with the
You asked
public.
him to write the letter. You asked him to write the letter. Is that on your behalf or the board's behalf?
I'm sharing the board policies with the public during public comment.
So that is for you. You're sharing that with the public on your behalf. So they know how to conduct themselves in the meeting, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so I just want to put it out there that I had nothing to do with the letter. I just found out about the letter tonight during executive session, and I want that in the minutes.
Thank you. We're pleased to have our student representative present, and he will introduce himself and present the report.
Good evening. My name is Nathan Frazier. Please excuse Ms. Al-Hanif as she cannot make it today. At the beginning of the month, on February 8th, Academy Parks Interact Club hosted a blood drive with the American Red Cross. In total, a combination of 35 students and teachers donated blood. Thank you to everyone who donated and volunteered to help organize and run the blood drive. On February 10th, the class of 2023 Student Council hosted the annual Me and My Guy dance. The night was enjoyable and successful with many families attending, and the class of 2023 was able to raise $2,000 for their graduating class. Thank you to the groups of, Thank you to the groups of students and adults who stayed after school and helped decorate, take pictures, as well as manage the dance. On February 16th, Academy Park students Fode Cisse, Aisha Koulibaly, Kiara Barley, Kyla Love, Vincent Campbell, Marquise Adams, Kamir Jones, Fatima Takaba, and myself attended the 18th annual DBCEE High Student Leadership Institute at Upper Marion High School. At the Institute, students were inspired to develop leadership qualities, engaged in activities that foster personal and professional development, establish meaningful and ongoing leadership engagement, etc. Thank you to Mrs. Hudson and Ms. Perry for chaperoning this trip. On the evening of February 16th, band director Mrs. Cubbage and several AP band members performed Louis Armstrong's What a Wonderful World at Sharon Hill Borough Council's Black History Month event for the community. This month, the class of 2023 started 2 fundraisers. The first one being the Claire's Gourmet fundraiser, where senior students can sell gourmet products to receive a discount or a free senior prom ticket. If a student sells 10 products, they will receive half off their prom ticket, and if they sell 20 products, they will receive a prom ticket free of charge. The fundraiser will last until March 1st. We encourage any senior students to participate and to receive instructions on how to participate. There are information packets located in room 321 of Mrs. Smith's office. The second fundraiser is the Senior Sweat fundraiser, where any student can order senior sweats such as shirts, hoodies, crew necks, etc. The deadline to order any senior sweats has been extended. To order senior sweats, students can use the order forms located in room 321. On February 19th, 2 Academy Park students sang at Condale's Black History Celebration event. Opening the event, freshman Shadira Robinson sang The Star Spangled Banner. Following her, junior Shania Harris sang Lift Every Voice and Sing, the Black National Anthem. Both students sang a cappella, wowing the audience. A cappella, excuse me, wowing the audience. Thank you to our choir director, Ms. Muller, for working with these students to prepare for the event. This week, the class of 2023 organized a Black History Month Spirit Week. Students from the class council helped in designing a theme for each day and decorating the school. Tuesday was HBCU Day, where students wore colors of an HBCU. Wednesday was Wear Your Flag or Culture Attire Day, whereas students wore their country flag or cultural attire. Today was Black Excellence Day, where students were encouraged to dress in formal attire or as their favorite Black icon. And tomorrow will be Family Reunion Day, where students can come dressed as their favorite family member at the cookout. For the second marking period, a total of 153 Academy Park students received honor roll, 69 of which received distinguished. We are so proud of all of you. The date of the junior prom has been changed from April 28th to May 12th. It will still be located at the Lazaretto Ballroom from 7 to 11 p.m. Tickets will be on sale in April. Yesterday, the senior class had an assembly where they ordered their graduation cap and gown. Thank you to Mr. Judy from Jostens for helping guide the students during the assembly. During the fall 2022 semester at Delaware County Community College, one of AP's dual enrollment students, Sanaa Rogers, made the president's list. Congratulating Sanaa on her hard work and effort. With that, this concludes our student report.
We want to definitely congratulate Sanaa for making the president's list. Dr. Winder, do you have a superintendent's report?
Yes, just a brief reminder. Just a brief reminder that the 2023-2024 calendar is online for review. An email address is posted so that you can send your comments to me. I have received about 10 or more suggestions already. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move into approvals. Do I have a motion to approve the February 23rd, 2023 agenda as submitted?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for January 26, 2023, regular board business? Did
Madam-
you want to mention?
Yeah, I make a motion that we table those minutes until next meeting.
Okay. Do I have a second for that? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
Motion.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Are there any questions on the bills? Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the bills for payment in the amount of $5,939,834.23?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're going to move on to questions regarding education items 1 through 5. Are there any questions on education items 1 through 5? Okay. Are there any questions on finance items 1?
I think the board should discuss the cardinal points or at safe quarters. I think that we should have one or the other. I just want to know how the board feel about that.
Okay, so before we, Ms. Woodfolk, before we discuss items 2 and 3, I just want to make sure if there are any comments on item 1 under finance. Okay. So let's look at items 2 and 3. Are there any other questions on items 2 and 3? Ms. Woodfolk, you have the floor.
No, I just wanted to know how the board feels about having Cardinal Points or Safe Quarters. I don't think that we need both companies in our buildings.
Okay,
I agree.
I agree also.
I agree with that statement. Do we have Mr. Rusnoff? Is he present? I'd like to invite him to the front row, please.
To the podium.
Are there any other board members who are not in support of both services for the district? We haven't heard from everybody yet.
So I am in support of safe corridors, and that's not saying I'm necessarily against Cardinal Point at this time, but I am definitely for safe corridors. And to be clear, Cardinal Point is district-wide, and safe corridors at this time would specifically just be for the high school.
Okay, I'm glad Mr. Rusnoff is here. He can bring clarity, especially to the public and to the board, regarding our current standing regarding security, number of security, et cetera. Are there any other board members who'd like to share their perspective regarding items 2 and 3?
I'm also in agreement about having one, preferably the Cardinal Securities.
I'm curious, Mr. Rusnoff, can you share the benefits or the differences in contracts, or, I'm sorry, not contracts, but the employees, the positions?
Well, I can speak on Cardinal Point's
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
position. I don't think it's fair that I speak on safe corridors, is because I wasn't part of that conversation.
Right.
So, the benefit for Cardinal Point, they've been placed for the last couple days, and I've seen a decrease in activity throughout the high school as far as hallway traffic and addressing other issues. It's been more regular and been more consistent with the ability to have additional security guards in place. We have currently 4 Cardinal Point guards at APHS, 1 currently at Sharon Hill, and as more guards come in, I have additional guards coming in on Monday. They will be placed in other schools throughout the district. So having the security guards, I can say, is that it gives a better sense of security. Again, consistency of having additional guards there that can address not just one issue at a time, but multiple if need be. And also, I really feel that, especially at the high school with how it's been working, the number of incidents that I've been aware of have decreased. So having additional guards in place at in the schools throughout the district will lower that number of incidents, hopefully. Obviously, I can't say anything for all the other schools yet because they're not in place, but I can speak on what I've seen for the last couple of days at the high school. We're able to cover more of an area in the school, make sure we have a presence in the hallways, in the lunchroom, during arrival and at dismissal.
Any other questions for Mr.
Yes,
Rusnoff? Okay.
yes, Madam President, I do have a question. Do they cover the boys and the girls' bathroom as well?
They do.
They do?
They can, yes.
Okay,
So that's an additional aspect of having extra guards to be able to have, because there are female guards there, as well as male. So that when they are doing their hallway checks, they are able to check the bathrooms as well.
so how many female guards are there?
There's two.
It's two, just two females?
Two right now, yes. So we only got 4 for the high school, so there's 2 males and 2 female
Okay.
out of Cardinal Point.
So, I mean, even high school, we don't even have any females guards there?
At the high school, there's 2 female guards.
Oh, it is two? Oh,
Yes.
okay, okay. And, are they, retired police officers?
Not all of them, no.
And they all unarmed?
Correct. Yeah, being in law enforcement or military or corrections isn't a requirement.
Okay, well, that's true. So how are they able to handle, the children if there's a fight or chaos going on in the schools?
Well, they go through a week worth of training, 40-hour training before they're placed. So they have their Act 67 training in place and are also trained in de-escalation while they're at Cardinal Point being trained for deployment. So they do have an understanding of how to engage with students, and I speak to them and talk about what our expectations are of how they should be handled. There's no one that's permitted to use any holds or anything that wouldn't be applicable for a situation, just to be able to break up a fight but not fully engage, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not. So they are trained to do that, and
Right.
to verbally de-escalate situations.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other training that Cardinal Point has that we may not be aware?
Well, I mean, they have the mandatory reporter training, they have we cover Act 67, they also have de-escalation training. If there's any other specific training that's required, or we inquire about, Cardinal Point can be directed to offer that and to make sure that that training is put in place.
Okay. Did you mention CPR, first aid and
They
CPR?
are first aid, CPR trained, correct.
I'm wondering if the board members have any other questions for Mr. Rusnoff regarding Cardinal Point.
I just have
Okay.
one quick
Oh.
question, I'm sorry. So they're just security, right? There's no mentoring, there's no additional programming, it's not something that could possibly grow into something bigger. They're just security, just as if we would hire a security guard, their job description is gonna be very, very similar, right?
That's the expectation. But, I mean, for them to cultivate a relationship with the students is one of the expectations. But to grow beyond that, that's a language and something that needs to be discussed if that's what security's role would be, right? So if that expectation just to have them do it, I don't think that's fair. But if that's mentoring comes in all forms, in all types of ways, where our guards have thoroughly tried to engage students and tried to mentor them in one way or the other. You're welcome.
Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
That's helpful.
Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to take this opportunity to invite our Safe Corridors representative, Ms. De Silva, to the mic, please. Thank you. I'd like to invite the board as we consider approving this contract with Safe Corridors. I'd like to invite the board if they, to find out if you guys had questions, thoughts, concerns regarding the contract.
Hi, Ms. De Silva. Thank you so much for coming. Would you be able to share with both the board and the public just some details or just your opinion on what Safe Corridors has been able to do for the school you're already contracted with?
Definitely. I just want to start off by saying thank you for allowing me, right, and inviting me up to interact with the board and the public. I'm a 20-year veteran urban educator. I'm originally from New York City, and so I've partnered with Safe Corridors to help with programmatic development. Over the last 6 months, Safe Corridors has grown from a program that supports safe arrival and departure of students from schools to a complete in-school model that supports not only a safe school day, but positive outcomes for students, staff, and the greater community. Since we have partnered with CCCS as well as CCSA, there has been a data-based and evidence-based increase in morale in the school. Students are happier to come to school, as evidenced by an increase in attendance over the last 4 months, in addition to a dramatic decrease in student referrals, more specifically at CCCS. And so, in addition to providing an increased level of safety, students and parents have enjoyed building rapport through mentorship. We have a specific program that we've implemented, and staff have also commented on being happier at work as a result of Safe Corridors being there.
Thank you for that. I just want to open the floor for questions.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
As of now, are you in Academy Park High School?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
So that's all you guys do is cover the high schools?
No, ma'am. Currently, CCCS has a K through 8 model, and we are in both their K through 5 schools. There's more than one K through 5 school, as well as their middle school, which is 6 through 8.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So,
Hold on.
sorry.
Go ahead, Ms.
You guys hear
Washington.
me?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any way you could take us through, like, what day would look like, what one of your employees, just like if you can, give us an example from morning to dismissal of possible what it would look like?
So, I'll choose our site coordinator. So our site coordinator starts the day off with a morning huddle of our Safe Corridor safety advocates at the school. That morning huddle consists of specific goals, right, that the team is trying to achieve throughout the week, reminders, right, and everyone clocks in. At the close of the huddle, everyone disperses to their assigned posts. We have a number of safety advocates that help students, get off of the bus and arrive into school. Safety advocates are at the front door or at all locations or at all doors to welcome students with a smile, maybe a fist bump, a hey, how you doing, right, to start the school day off on a positive note. The safety advocates as well as the site coordinator are posted throughout the school building, right, at strategic points to, again, give a very nice and positive start to the school day. At that point, there's a transition because now the school day has officially started. And so safety advocates are at their posts, and we, to be honest with you, everybody has to take a break, right? And so I would say about an hour into the school day, the site coordinator coordinates everyone's 15-minute break, right? So that there is continued coverage and assistance in the hallways as well as classrooms. Cafeteria coverage is included as well, and so safety advocates are helping students in the hallways transition to the cafeteria. They are in the cafeteria, right? In the 4 or 5 visits that I've made at CCCS, for example, myself have seen a more mellowed cafeteria environment. I've also seen students playing with or positively interacting with safety advocates. Once the lunch periods are done, safety advocates are again on post. If there are any students that need to be escorted to the office, if there are any incidents, safety advocates use walkie-talkies to communicate with each other throughout the building and throughout the day. If there is a need for mediation, which our coordinator is really, really good at. We actually have a protocol for mediation, so if there are any student conflicts, mediation will take place in our Safe Corridors office in the school building. And then it's almost, it's practically time for dismissal. So at the time of dismissal, the site coordinator again disperses safety advocates to their posts to make sure that students are exiting the building in a quick, calm manner. Thank you.
Do we have any more questions regarding Safe Corridors?
Yes, I have a few more. And actually, I'm going to ask you two, so I'm not interrupting again. So you mentioned that the staff are reporting that they're happier. Has the school reported anything to you about teacher retention? So if staff members are happier, are less teachers leaving? And then also, could you share with us the trainings that Safe Corridors employees already received? And what are some additional things you guys maybe be looking into in the near future?
Definitely. So in terms of teacher retention, I don't think that at this point in the school year, it would be fair to actually speak to that, right? To my knowledge, no teachers have left since Safe Corridors has been there, and no teachers have been asked to leave, right, to my knowledge. We all know that once May and June hits, right, teachers will resign, and we've seen an uptick in that since COVID. So I don't want to speak specifically or out of turn in that regard. I do know, though, anecdotally from the administration of the school, right, that there is a more positive morale throughout the staff, okay? So that's one. Two, in terms of trainings, safety advocates receive a monthly professional development opportunity that is mandatory. So I'm using the word opportunity, but it is mandatory. And what we do during that professional development is we look at data, okay? We look at that attendance data, that student referral data, and we address that data in a way that makes sure that all safety advocates are responding to students and staff in a way to, either to move the data in the way that it needs to be moved. So that's one. Two, safety advocates are consistently receiving trauma-informed opportunities as well. So again, as a 20-year education veteran, I strongly believe in the power of positive rapport building and using trauma-informed practices to prevent negative interactions, and all of our safety advocates have received what I would like to call a toolbox, right, of trauma-informed practices that they have been successfully employing at the school level. In addition to those trauma-informed practice trainings, safety advocates I'm currently looking at making sure that they are all mandated reporters, right? And so there is an opportunity, and we are currently pursuing that opportunity to make sure that all of our safety advocates are trained, right, and certified mandated reporters, just like school staff and administration are. First aid, and then de-escalation techniques, more specifically through a partnership with QBS.
And the first aid would include CPR, right? That's one
Yes,
training? Okay.
CPR, AED, defibrillator as well.
Thank you for that. We appreciate, Ms. De Silva, your sharing the information that you shared. I'm not sure if that language, and this is something that the board would like to bring your attention to, if that's something that we could add or could currently add in terms of the training. There were some concerns about a couple items that I hope you can clear up.
Definitely.
The administration fee, there was something that we saw that there was concern about how that is handled, and also the resumes of your employees or independent contractors, youth development, right, in terms of experience, level of experience and expertise that your employees may have or may not have. So if you could share a little bit about that, or include that in the language of the contract, that would be helpful.
Okay.
Regarding that. Also, what we see it says 20 team members to start March 2023, almost immediately. Another concern, and I'm hoping you can speak to this, is Mr. Rusnoff, Director of Security. We weren't sure as a board who would be responsible for managing the 20 folks coming into the high school. So if you could talk a little bit about that, because that was a question that some folks had.
Okay, so the daily, do you want me to talk about like everything that you've just laid out, all of the concerns, or? That would be good. Okay, so great. So in terms of the daily administration fee, that is reflective of the need for consistent communication, right? Not only with the team, but also between Mr. King and the site coordinators. A team of 20 is going to require no less than 2 site coordinators. And the site coordinator, in terms of a hierarchy, right, would be the liaisons between Safe Corridors and the school administration. And so that administration fee is directly reflective of the need to do background checks for all, right, for all staff, for all safety advocates, as well as that would also cover some aspects of training, okay? Some of that money would go towards some aspects of training and just the administration, the day-to-day administration. For example, if we have a safety advocate that calls out, right, but the contract is for 20 people, it is our responsibility as an organization to make sure that there are 20 safety advocates present. And so the coordination of that, almost at a moment's notice. As a former educator, right, if you have a teacher call out, you need to have a substitute available and a competent substitute. So that administration fee would cover all aspects of administration and communication that will be necessary to ensure successful deployment of safety advocates on a day-to-day basis. The second item, I'm sorry, can you remind me?
The second item was administration fee,
Mm-hmm.
and we also mentioned resumes in terms of like background.
Right. So all of our safety advocates, their clearances, FBI, child abuse, as well as state clearances are completed by us, and they are thoroughly vetted. So they are interviewed, and more than 60% of our safety advocates have a college degree. And so there is an aspect of, right, higher education as well. In terms of experience with interacting with children, we definitely seek community members who have prior experience interacting with children, okay? So that positive rapport building, none of that is new. None of that is new. I also do want to highlight that, because we are a community-based organization and we seek to provide a community-based solution, we also want to provide opportunities for people who don't have a lot of prior experience with children to kind of get that experience, right, through proxy, which is why we make sure that we have monthly trainings to ensure that all of our safety advocates are aligned in terms of expectations and outcomes. Then the next item, I'm sorry.
Thank you for that.
Not a problem.
Director of
Safety advocates
Security.
and hallway monitors. Thank you, guys. Safety advocates and hallway monitors. There was some discussion previously about the level of expertise. So for instance, social work backgrounds. You spoke just now about youth development backgrounds. That's helpful for us to know. Can we add possibly having the copies of resumes, right? Sent
Definitely.
to our Director of Human Resources.
Definitely.
So we're clear about the level of expertise and training
Yes.
of the employees or independent contractors who will be serving our students at Academy Park High School.
Yes, so just to clarify, I think that so I know for a fact that we could definitely provide clearances for all of our safety advocates. Resumes, it might be a little touch and go. I just want to be very transparent. But the clearances, we make sure that every single person has the appropriate clearances to work in a school.
We don't get resumes from the security guards, right? For Cardinal Point and stuff, we don't get their resumes?
Right, so Ms. Perry asked a question, go ahead.
So I just wanted to be clear, for the Cardinal Point Security Group, that is an outside service as well. So similar, we would receive most likely their clearances and such, but we wouldn't receive their resumes.
Right, so the concern was that the Cardinal Point, the officers who work as security, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Rusnoff, are trained and have a level of training regarding either, and this is something I think we mentioned at Committee of the Whole, former police officers or former military officers, and they had a certain level of training. And, please clarify regarding the safety advocates, they would be hallway monitors as opposed to, and, please share and fill us in, as opposed to social workers or folks who have specific youth development training. We want to be clear about the expertise and the background of the,
Okay.
of the,
Can I clarify something from last week?
yeah, sure, go ahead.
So just to clarify what she's speaking on, the committee of whole that happened last week. So we did ask the director of security if they had, I'm sorry, what did you call it? Youth, what kind of training did you? So you did ask him if they had youth development training, and he said they did not, because they're security guards. So I just want to make that clear, because I think you just stated the opposite.
No, that's not what I said. What I was saying is with Cardinal Point, when we talked to Mr. Rusnoff previously, he mentioned that they were possibly, right, previous police officers or former military.
So what he told us right now was that it's not a requirement, and what he shared last week is only a requirement for the site supervisor from Cardinal Point, not any of the other employees.
Right, we're not saying requirement. Yeah, I'm not saying requirement. What we're saying is that they have a history, as far as we know, when it was presented to us as a board, that Cardinal Point had a history. Is that correct? Fine, Mr. Butler, please. Just so the public is aware.
Yeah, it wasn't that it was a requirement. It wasn't stated that it was a requirement, but if there are going to be individuals at Cardinal Point or any other organization, they would come with credentials that would be beneficial to the school district. But in neither case was it a requirement that they hold the student, youth development.
Social and emotional
Correct.
learning.
Right.
She did
But-
mention trauma-informed care,
Right.
but that they had been trained in those regards and had additional training.
Correct.
Just a reminder.
Can I get a point of clarity? Are you saying Cardinal Points have those points now?
Cardinal Point, as Mr. Rosnoff had said, is that before they start, they get 40 hours of training. And then there's going to be
Yeah, Mr. Butler, I heard what you said. I wanted a point of clarity from Madam President, because I just seen notes from from last week's meeting, when it was asked, did the security have the youth development and all those things? And it wasn't a requirement, nor did they currently have it. And he doesn't know if they had it in the past. So I wanted a point of clarity, the president, to make herself clearer about what she's talking about.
So can I just make one other comment on what I heard? I don't believe that I think it's just a point of reference or question about what is the qualifications of the staff members that Safe Corridors would be presenting to the school district. I didn't hear, and maybe I heard it wrong, I didn't hear that it was indicated that it would be a requirement that they have. It was more of a question of what is the offering.
Right, because we're looking at additional, right? So not necessarily either or, but the board is looking to bring on additional support in the schools. So we would just want to be clear about that. It may not mirror, they may not have the exact qualifications, right? But they should complement each other. So for instance, if one group is security, right? And they're trained security guards, and then another group has training in trauma-informed care, as she mentioned, or they are former social workers or retired social workers, or they have training in SEL, social and emotional learning, and first aid and CPR, they have additional skills, right, that we're considering when we're thinking about bringing in 20 additional to the 9 security that we've already, discussed. And that was, I hope that brings clarity to your.
Just a reminder, Cardinal Point is fulfilling the vote that the board made to add an additional security officer to all of our K-5 schools, to add 2 officers to our alt ed, and then to increase the amount of officers at the high school. So that was clearly why we have brought Cardinal Point on, to fulfill the vote that occurred. And we were not having success hiring the 1.5 security guards from August. So we definitely couldn't fulfill all of the new positions that were added, which was about 9 more positions. So that's what Cardinal Point is covering for us. So I just don't want us to let that get lost.
Excuse me, could you speak up a little, please? I can't hear your mask.
Okay. Is that back there? Cardinal Point is fulfilling the vote that the board made to add another position at each of our K-5 schools, 2 positions at alt ed, and 2 more positions at the high school, plus the positions at the high school that already wasn't filled. So that is Cardinal Point's mission, to fulfill the vote that had occurred.
I see Mr. King at the podium. We want to, welcome him to the podium and give him an opportunity to share regarding safe corridors and, let's see. Go ahead. You can feel free to share.
Jonathan King,
Back up.
506 Avenue of the States, Chester, PA, Safe Corridors. I'm not going to be before you long. We really never had an opportunity to explain to this community of what we really do. There's been things in the papers and all these other things, and we never had an opportunity. And believe me, the newspapers and everybody called me plenty of times, and I always said, no comment. I really didn't want to get up here on the mic because we have people to do these kind of things, right? But I think coming from me, maybe it's a little clear for all of you. One of the main things we wanted to do with Safe Corridors and why I created was because we were tired of our children feeling unsafe going to school. We don't even use the word security because we don't want our children to think that they're in a police state. The people that I will hire in this community will be 85% from this community, right? They won't be coming from Chester or other places. I want to hire people from this community so they will know the children and they will build relationships. And we're not here to catch any of these young people on an aha moment, right? We're here to mentor them, which is, by the way, one of the best ways to communicate with a child. Most of them just want people to hear them. We, as adults, we really never listen to the children. And Safe Corridors has given young people an opportunity to do that, right? We give them a voice. We give them a space. We don't have to be former police officers. No disrespect to the other organization. We like working with people. Because of our work, all of the police officers at CCSS are gone. All of them, right? We're at all of their locations. We're also at benchmark schools. We've done all of Chester Upland School Districts, which are 7, and I can keep going on and on and on. We have the data to prove that the effectiveness of how we operate to help our children to be successful so they can learn in school and the community and the staff, right, would be able to have a conducive, really great environment so we all win. This is mostly about the children and not about the adults. We are an untraditional company that are contractors that want to come in schools to make sure our children have an opportunity to be safe and to learn. That's really what it is. We have ALICE training. We have so many different, we do so many different things. We even train with police officers to make sure we're doing stuff right. We understand that. But for me, the way we vision it, the way we want to help our children, we want to help them by being a support for them. That's what it's about. We come in schools to help children so they can be successful in school. And I just wanted to say that because I have never really had an opportunity to say anything to the board. And I really appreciate the opportunity of even putting us on the agenda to consider us. So whatever the decision is, right, whatever it is, let's just make sure our children are safe. Thank you.
Mr. King, thank you so much. We have a couple questions, a couple more
Yes.
questions. Go ahead,
Hi,
Ms. Monroe.
Mrs. Monroe, with it, are you in any other schools? Are you in William Penn as of yet?
Not as yet. They've been knocking at our door though. But no, we're not.
Right. So I've been speaking with the couple administrators at William Penn, and I know they were considering you. I don't know if they had moved forward with that discussion or not. I know I had brought this organization to the board many meetings ago, and I was hoping that the board would have a real dialogue about this prior to this dialogue we're having today. I have had many telephone calls and emails from the individuals at both the locations you're at currently, and from some people in Chester Council that speak highly of your organization. I really don't talk a lot about this to the board because I want the board to do their own homework. But kudos to you and your organization for the phenomenal job that you have done with the public school in Chester and the many charter schools you have worked with. I hope and I pray that you just continue to grow, whether Southeast Delco takes contract or not. I look forward to seeing you do great things in the southeastern area of Pennsylvania.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Hold on, Mr. King, don't leave the podium. I'm wondering if, I think Mr. Silva, we asked about sharing resumes. Is that something you would consider? And also, there were some concerns about, because we are already contracted with Cardinal Point and there's 9 officers, that bringing in an additional 20 is something that we mentioned would be, we're not sure how we would handle that in terms of management and things like that. Would you consider changing the number if there are board members who have concerns about that?
Well, I mean, our goal is to work with everyone, right? I don't like to be, I don't like it to look like we're in this competition because I'm an ally, not an adversary.
Right.
We work with administrations in the school. That's the only way it works, right? It doesn't work any other way. I think we need to see what their agenda is versus what our, I don't even use the word security, right? It's in our mind, right? It's a word we don't use, right? We try to use polite and soft language to let the children know that we're there to help them, not to put no handcuffs on them, not to get them in trouble and expelled and all that. So I'm just saying, whatever our management team, me, Mr. Silva, and a few of my other partners decide what's the best for the company, right? To keep our reputation reputable, right? And consistent and honest with our integrity of what we do. So we will work with anyone we need to work with. Whatever number you guys decide you want to do, we toured that school. It's a very big school. And I'm gonna honestly tell you, 10 people for Safe Corridors is not enough, right? And I understand, but we always put money in the place of our children, right? And I just think, when I think of people's salaries and all these other things, and I think about our children, like, we don't really make the investment. I wish I could announce my contract number, what I do for other schools. It's very, very large, but they invest in their children. And I'm gonna tell you something, those kids go home to their parents, right? And they tell them what we do, and it's worth it, right? So I understand from a budget perspective, I get that. But I'm just saying, I'm pleading to you, no matter what happens tonight, because we're gonna continue to do what we do to help our children and help our communities. You know, please, don't let money get in the way of making a decision for our children. This is for the children. It's 85% of my budget go to the team. That's why I have a good team. My attendance rate is 99.9%. And like Mr. Silva told you, over half of our team are college graduates, right? So we don't hire anyway. So we value who we are, and we want to give people their money's worth as well. So when you're saying less than 20, I'm gonna tell you, it's a stretch because that's a very big school. We wouldn't be doing a good job. I'm gonna be honest with you. We wouldn't be doing a good job if only 5 or 10 of us went in that school. That school is very big. It needs a minimum of 25, but we can do 20 to make it work. You got 9 people already in there. You have to decide which way you guys want to go as a school, right? But it's like me selling you a car with 3 wheels. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Okay,
We have to do it right. If we can't do it right, it doesn't make any sense.
okay, thank you.
All right? Thank
And
you.
not a question for Mr. King, but a point of clarity. So we will have a total of 9 security guards in Academy Park, but it's not 9 from Cardinal Security. Cardinal Point is for district-wide, and if I remember correctly from last week, only 4 of those 9 will be at Academy Park.
I have a question.
Sorry. Was that Ms., okay, Mrs. Washington?
Okay, I was wondering, so in the other schools, the site coordinators, could you, like, give us an example of who they would receive, who they received their direction from? Who was like helping them with their day-to-day planning before they met with their team? And another one is, I know that, I can't remember her name, the lady that just spoke, I'm sorry,
Oh, De
forgive me.
Silva,
But she
Mrs.
was,
Silva.
yes, I'm sorry. So I know she was saying she was working on getting, the mandated reporter, clearances for all of, her staff. How many of the 20 that we would need already have the mandated reporting? And I know she said some of you guys are vetting local volunteers. How are you guys starting to vet the local volunteers? If you were to, and the contract was supposed to start in March, which is around the corner, what are you doing to vet the local volunteers?
Thank you for that question. We have already been doing it. I do my vetting and searching very different. I know from the community that I come from that is similar to this, that a lot of guys really never had an opportunity to work in schools for their expertise because they may have not go to college to get a job, to be a teacher or whatever. I get it. The word of mouth is the best vetting process there is, always. That's why it makes sense to hire people from this community to be in that school who will know those children and will have less problems than it would with strangers coming in that don't know them, right? You have an opportunity to be better. So word of mouth is the biggest deal. You can get good people. People will tell you who you are. All you got to do is ask somebody. Of course, along with the other process that we do for hiring people. And then your other question was about the mandated reporter. By the time those men get in Academy Park, that will be done. We've been working on this situation for a while, so it ain't like I could tell 20 people we're going to Academy Park tomorrow, right? Or last week, because we wasn't sure. And that's some things that I can't speak about right now in public. But whenever the call is made, we're going to do our best to make sure we send the best people in there to do the job. And we can work out those logistics however way we need to. I hope that answers your questions.
The other question was about the site coordinators and who do they normally report to in your other schools if you have been present?
So it's a collaboration. We found out from doing this, and listen, I'm learning a lot from doing this, right? You know, we found out that the administrator at the school and myself and Mr. Silva usually communicates with the site coordinator. We realize that everybody has to be on the same page. And when we understood that the collaboration with the administration at the school, with the administration of Safe Corridors, it makes sense for everyone to be on the same page. We call it sharing information. So yes, what we know, you will know. What you know, we should know in reference to doing our job diligently.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Were there any other questions regarding finance items 1 through 3? Okay. Are there any questions on human resource items 1 through 17? Okay, I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the death of Miss Carol Latham, our former Sharon Hill School teacher. I'm sorry?
We didn't get to it yet, not yet.
We want to honor and acknowledge Miss Latham, former Sharon Hill School teacher, and her death on February 18th, 2023. Were there any questions on human resources items 1 through 17? Are there any questions on policy items 1 through 3? No property items. Are there any public comments regarding agenda items?
Yes, Rebecca Perry.
Hi, good evening. So my name is Rebecca Perry. I live in Collingdale. I wanted to speak on my support of Safe Corridors. So school security used to be about keeping people out when I was a kid. It wasn't about controlling the children in the building. The Columbine High School shooting was in 1999, and for 24 years, school security has been consistently increased in schools across the country, but even more so in schools that are predominantly Black and brown. We're increasing security, we're still increasing security, and it's still not working. In a study published in volume 83 of the Journal of Criminal Justice in December of 22, named The Infrastructure of Social Control, a multi-level counterfactual analysis of surveillance in Black education, the following was found. Increased security presence contributes to students having a negative perception of their educational experience. The infrastructure of surveillance reduces test scores in mathematics and reduces college enrollment altogether for both suspended and non-suspended students. So not only did students from these schools have lower math test scores, but they were also less likely to enroll in college. The study finds that constant surveillance and increased security presence deters a student's motivation to want to learn, finding the entire experience just too troublesome and tiresome. The co-author of the study, Dr. Otis Johnson, a professor of social policy and STEM equity at Johns Hopkins University, shared, when schools feel like prisons, the impact isn't localized to the students perceived as problematic. It has collateral consequences for kids, irrespective of their behavior. The study concluded that the safety tax students pay with their average levels of test performance and college going rates is greatest for Black students of both genders, given that their overrepresentation in high surveillance schools. Safe Corridors is not security. They're youth empowerment advocates that focus on redirection and mentoring. It is about building relationships with staff and students. It is about change. It is about providing a better environment for our students and our teachers. It is about support. It is about protecting our children and their future. We need to make a change, even if that means taking a financial risk. The students do not have time to wait. My child has 1 year left of school. He does not have time to wait. So my question to the board is, what are we doing? What are we doing that will benefit our students in our district and our community? If the board does not move forward with safe corridors this evening, what is the plan? What other options or ideas are being offered? What are you putting on the table? What program will be put into place to work on changing the culture of our high school without turning it into a prison? We need help creating a culture change, and we don't have the tools or the staff to do it. So please vote yes for our children. Please vote yes for their safety, and please vote yes for their future.
Thank you.
Kayla Kachi?
Hello. Oh, sorry. Hi. Should I just say like my company's name? I wrote it on this up.
Just your name and town.
Caleb. Okay, Caleb Kachi here now. So I just want to keep it short and sweet. I think that you guys should pass corridors. If you notice when both of these representatives were up here, one continuously used the term guard, guard, guard all over again, and the other one used the word advocate, advocate, advocate all over again. And one of them sounds a lot better for children, and the other one just kind of sounds scary. Another one, education veteran versus military veteran. One's for kids, one's for a war zone. So I want to go with the teachers. This is not a war zone. This is not a prison. We shouldn't try and keep that mentality. I know some of these people who work for Safe Corridors, they're mentors, they're leaders. They put smiles on kids' faces. I don't know if a security guard who's just standing like this all day, not being a role model, not really being active in a child's life, is what Academy Park needs. So I hope, I pray, I know that you guys are trying to find a way, and I appreciate the fact that what the superintendent, Dr. Winder, brought up about looking for security guards, because you are trying to keep what you said, like what the community asked for. I think that should be appreciated. I truly do. But I think that this is a better way. I think the safety as an advocate is better than the safety of police officers. Because let's not forget what happened just a couple years ago with police officers just up the street from Academy Park High School. Let's not forget about it. Let's not forget what happened at that football game. Some kids don't feel safe with police officers. So that's not really something that is a big, whoa, retired police officers, yay. No, some kids don't want that in Academy Park High School. Let's not forget what happened with the hoodie thing. What happened when some students were beat up at school. Some kids are still afraid of police officers. So let's not forget that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maria Jenkins?
Good evening. Maria Jenkins, Glen Olden. So my first comment, I just wanted to just get some clarification on the cafeteria fund. Is this $93,000 for all schools in the district? and I know you aren't answering questions, but if it could be addressed at least going forward, is this for just staff, or is this staff and edible healthy options for all the schools in the district? Because I just feel like 93,000 to get to where we need to be from where we are, that's very minimal.
Excuse me. 158,238.
Okay, so I'm looking at here, you said the cafeteria fund.
Mm-hmm. Page 423.
158.
There were November agendas left from a meeting before. I think some people got mixed together.
Oh, okay.
That's why the two different numbers.
Thank you very much. Thank
Okay.
you. All right, so this number definitely looks a lot better, and probably covering more of the schools in the district, because I definitely had a concern with that. So thank you for the update with that. And then my only other comment was, Madam President, I appreciate and respect your comment that you did make for your announcements and expectations, and being here through several meetings. All that I would ask is that what you ask for be asserted throughout everyone, board members and the public. You know, I'm not sure who would control, but sometimes in some things that happen within the board members, it is time to shut the meeting down, go behind doors and handle it. Because what's being seen in the public, it don't look good for us at all. So with that comment, just if it could be updated in your memorandums that it too should reflect the board members. And it's okay to shut down the meeting and come back, because a lot of the things that are out in public, online and everything, it's not a good look for the district. So that was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Silva, I know you had opportunities, but I didn't want to just ignore that you put in a card. You're welcome. Margaret Bing?
Margaret Bing, Glen Olden, Secretary, Darby Township School. My comment is about the safe corridors and the Cardinal Point security. I'm coming as a parent and as the Secretary of Darby Township School. I see the need for both. I've heard and listened to both sides of this, and what the young lady said from the student perspective, honey, I appreciate what you said, but you got to understand where the other side of this is coming from. There needs to be both. My question is, if not safe corridors, what is the board's other suggestion, if not safe corridors? And we've had emergency meetings in the beginning of the year regarding violence and unsafe conditions in Academy Park. So what is the apprehension now? If we are to keep students safe, or if we are to keep students in our district, and namely in our high school, and then renege on safe corridors now, this is not going to be a good look for the school district. We've had so many meetings and meetings and meetings, and we've went back and forth on this and back and forth on this. We need the security. Security is doing one part, safe corridors want to do another part. I think we need to do both. If we've went through all of this and it's February going into March, we need to make a decision. This is the decision we need to make. We've had so much go on since the beginning of the school year. We are tired of having the same conversation. It's really about the betterment of the students. They need the mentoring, and we also need to make sure they're not letting kids in through side doors and, you know, setting fires in bathrooms or whatever. Not all of them, but the ones that are meant to do it, we need to, like, discipline and mentor at the same time. There needs to be that union, and to have both seems to be that's the way that needs to, you know, to bring that both together. So I would suggest, let's make the decision and pass both of them. It just needs to happen, because we can't keep going back and forth. Otherwise, we're just gonna have more violence, more arguments about this needs to be done and that needs to be done. And I really would like to know, what would be the board's suggestion if not safe corridors? because something needs to happen. There's so many problems with we can't even get people to go on trips. You can't even get parents who have clearances for trips. So if not safe corridors and they have their own process of making sure they have their clearances and whatnot, they gave a great presentation. I implore you to just pass it and let's move forward in the district. Thank you.
Thank you.
All of the other cards are non-agenda items, but we will be calling you up when we get to that section.
Yes. We're going to move to committee reports.
You gotta vote. You gotta vote.
We're going to vote on items 2 and 3 under finance. Okay, I apologize. I'm looking at items 2 and 3. Okay. Okay, thank you. Education, items approved 2 and 3? 2 through 5. Okay.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We already approved, I'm sorry, a motion for finance items 1 through 3. We'll start with 1 and then we're gonna go individually. Do we have a motion to approve finance item 1?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, do we have all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. We're going to do a roll call for items 2 and 3. We'll start with item 2.
Just item 3 will require, item 2 is a ratification. And then item 3 will require, if necessary, a roll call vote.
Okay. Yes. Yep, please, do we have a motion to approve the engagement of safe corridors?
So moved.
No.
Do you want to start with, I'm sorry, we'll start with item 2.
Yes.
Carnal. So moved.
Right,
Is it
I'm
there?
sorry,
Is
there
it-
might be a typo on the document that I'm looking at, because mine says, it says under finance.
It is.
Right, okay. All right, we want to ratify the engagement of Cardinal Point Security Group.
So moved.
Do we have a second for that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed to that? I oppose. Okay. Okay, the motion carries. Mr. Butler, let us know when you're ready for the next.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. We need a motion to approve the engagement of safe corridors.
Can I make a motion to amend item 3? Just small amendments. the name of the company, instead of Safe Quarters Management LLC, should be Safe Quarters Incorporated. And then to also add, upon approval of solicitor for the contract. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. We are going to vote. We mentioned some differences earlier regarding the safe corridors. So what was the second part of your?
Yeah, we're not voting on the approval yet. We're voting on amending it because the language is missing some things.
Right, and can you please repeat?
Yes, so
yep.
I move that we amend finance item number 3 to change Safe Corridors Management LLC to Safe Corridors Incorporated, and to add at the end the language upon approval of solicitor.
Right, any opposed? I'm sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for that.
And then,
All right, now we're going to vote to approve the engagement.
and this will require a roll call, Madam President? No, that was just a question. So we need a motion and a second.
I make the motion to approve Safe Corridors.
Second.
And then I'll do a roll call? Yes. Okay. This is a roll call vote to approve item number 3, the engagement of Safe Corridors Incorporated. Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Ms. Monroe?
Yes.
Mrs. Peter Coe is excused. Ms. Woodfolk?
Yes. I'm sorry, yes.
Ms. Harris Johnson?
I'm still deciding. Can you come back to me?
Sure. Mr. Fowler?
Yes.
Mrs. Washington?
I am undecided. I still would like to request more information. So I don't know what that would be.
Or is she making a motion to
Ms.
table?
Washington, then if you're not going to vote A or nay, then you would abstain.
Unless you would like to table to reconsider the,
Well, we're in the middle of a vote, so we have to continue the vote.
Ms. Crawley?
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Mr. Butler. How has Ms. Washington voted? Has she voted?
Yes.
I didn't hear her vote.
I didn't either.
Okay, so Mrs. Washington, it's either yes, no, or abstention.
I'm going to abstain. Thank you.
All right, Mrs. Crawley,
No.
Mrs. Abney,
yes.
okay, so motion passes.
We're not
Oh,
finished.
I'm sorry,
We're not
Ms.
finished.
Harris Johnson, sorry.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion passes.
We're moving to committee reports. Ms. Woodfolk?
No, we did do HR.
I'm sorry. Sorry, the information that I have in front of me is incorrect. We're moving to human resources. Ratify the resignation of the following professional employees. Right, I asked that previously. We're approving human resources items 1 through 17. 1 through 7, oh, I'm sorry, 2 through 17.
I make a motion that we approve human resource items 2 through 17.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We are approving, I'm sorry, do I have a motion to approve policy items 1 through 3?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll move to the committee reports. Unless there was something else?
Yeah,
Okay, right, because we didn't get to them. Ms. Woodfolk, do you have a report on the Delaware County Community College?
No, Madam President, not at this time. Thank you.
Ms. Monroe Woodset, do you have a report on Delaware County Intermediate Unit? Are you there?
Yes, she said not at this time.
Okay. Mr. Fowler, do you have a report on the PSBA Legislative Council?
Not at this time, Madam President.
Ms. Perry, do you have a report on the Parent-Student Advisory Committee?
Yes, I do, Madam President, thank you. So the Parent-Student Advisory Committee did meet on February 1st. It was a hybrid model. It was a combination of Zoom and also in the Academy Park High School Library. If you missed it, you can check it out on YouTube. We covered scholarship opportunities, information that's available through the high school counselor's office, parent and special education advocacy, school and community events, conflict resolution, and mental health resources. Be sure to check it out. The resources are also individually on the website as well if you wanted to take a look at any of the mental health links or the presentations that were provided. I do want to thank all of our presenters, including high school guidance counselor, Ms. Boyd, our special guest, Dr. Archer, Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Ryan, and the Director of Special Education, Dr. Gibbs Tapper. And thank you to all the board members and other administrators, including Dr. Winder, for their support and attendance. We couldn't have made it successful without all of you. And we do hope to plan the next Parent-Student Advisory Committee meeting in April, and I'm hoping to actually add parents and students to the committee and grow it. So if you are interested in applying to join the committee, please reach out to me directly. And then also, one quick mention, the student representative mentioned that 2 students sang at the Collingdale Black History event. I did want to thank both of those young ladies because they had less than 2 weeks' notice to prepare. The freshman who sang the Star Spangled Banner, Shadira Robinson, she actually brought many audience members to tears with her voice. It was absolutely amazing. And then Shania actually followed with a quite angelic voice, and Shania has been singing since Harris Chorus. She's a junior. I'm excited to try to find them more opportunities in the community to sing. And Shadira has even been invited to Collingdale's 34th annual Pee Wee basketball tournament to sing the national anthem on the opening day and next Sunday for the championship game. So if you'd like to see her sing, please, I encourage you to attend the tournament. It is a fundraiser for the athletic club, but Shadira will be singing at 9 a.m. this Saturday and at 1 p.m. next Sunday. And thank you so much, Madam President. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Mr. DiOrio, do you have a solicitor's report?
No report this evening, Madam Chairman. Thank you.
Is there an administrative update?
Mr. Vogt will come at this time.
Good evening. I'm pleased to share with the school board tonight that Banky Pound will be visiting Academy Park High School on Tuesday, March 21st during the school day to provide 2 grade-level assemblies for our students. The purpose of his presentations is to educate students about the downfall of making bad decisions and where that can lead you. Information about Banky Pound's presentations will be provided to the parents through School Messenger, social media, and through a permission slip that will be provided to each student in grades 9 through 12. Students will need to have their permission slip signed by a parent or guardian and return that signed permission slip to the high school in order to attend the presentation, again, on Tuesday, March 21st.
What time are the assemblies?
It'll be an AM and a PM assembly so that we can accommodate our VOTEC students.
Excuse me, Mr. Vogt, have you completed your report?
I have.
What's the name? Banky Pound. Who is that a person or?
He is a speaker with experience. He had made some wrong decisions when he was younger, and it cost him 33 years of his life in incarceration. He has dedicated his life to going around the country to speak with organizations and schools about making positive decisions and how it can affect you.
So that's a mister.
It is a Mr. Banky Pound.
He is the gentleman that Mr. and Mrs. Thomas presented to us when we were at Academy Park.
Yeah, and Ms. Teresa, if you wanted more details, if you look at your email from December 14th, Mr. Thomas sent us some information as well as a YouTube link.
Say it's going to be a presentation at AM and the PM?
There'll be 2 presentations, that's correct. 2 grade level, 9, 10, and then 11, 12.
So second and fourth level?
Second and fourth, yes.
Second and
a robocall will go out to families.
Yes, there'll be multiple robocalls that will go out. I will probably put a letter also on the
Second and
school
what?
website.
So you said second, fourth block?
Second and fourth.
Okay.
And Mr. Vogt, he'll be attending in person, right? Not telecommunication?
He is in
or
person, yes.
Okay,
He'll be coming in
wonderful.
person, yes. We're good. I do not. Thank you.
Non-agenda items.
Raquel Irons?
Good evening, Raquel Irons, Burnside Avenue, Sharon Hill, by way Academy Park High School front office. I just want, real quick, I just wanted to bring some senior announcements. But before I do that, Kayla, is that your name, baby Kayla? Okay, I just wanted to, with all due respect and much love, our guards at Academy Park don't stand like this, baby, because Aunt Rock calls them all day. They don't have a chance to stand. So, I understand what you're saying, though. All jokes aside, I understand what you're saying, that some children have bad anxiety, because I suffer from anxiety as well. But Safe Quarters is a great program. I know because my cousin Georgie works there. Okay, that's a shameless plug. Sorry. Okay, for the seniors, we had, as Mr. Frazier said, there was a cap and gown assembly on the 22nd. Seniors had a chance to meet with Mr. Judy and order their caps and gowns. Any seniors that have not done so can see myself or Ms. Smith in room 321. I do have the pleasure, and I thank you, Mr. Silva. Mr. Silva, thank you for letting us, we're going over tomorrow, Ms. Smith and myself, to talk to the students in Alt Ed, because they are our students too. Whether they're in Alt Ed, down the block, around the corner, they still belong to me. So we're going to Alt Ed tomorrow. We also have some students that are in, 55 students that are seniors that are in cyber. I will be speaking to the cyber teacher as well, so they can get that information. I think at times we forget about our Night Academy, and that should not be. They are part of Academy Park. We're all under one umbrella, so we will be going for that. Senior parents, please be mindful that class dues are $125. That it covers the cap, the gown, the diploma, and other things with graduation. Those dues are due before you can purchase prom tickets. I encourage all parents, we know it's, right now it is tax season. So I know before we go and spend our money, can we please come to the schoolhouse and pay these dues? No, all jokes aside, because you know we get happy when we get our taxes, I know I do. But we need to come to the school and pay the taxes. And I say that now, and all jokes aside, because when it gets June, May and June, and it's time to pay for $90 prom tickets and $800 dresses or whatever, we don't have and then you realize, oh, I haven't paid that prom due, so, I mean, those dues for class due, so.
Excuse me, Ms. Irons.
Yes.
What is the date for the $125 to be paid?
It just, okay, the prom is June 2nd, so it has to be paid before June 2nd. Before they can purchase their prom tickets, there's a list of whoever paid their dues. They also must pay any fines that they have. They have throughout the years, if they have a fine, like a book or something, they either need to fine that book or pay for the book. Okay. Again, June 2nd is the prom. Tickets are $90 per person or $180 a couple. It is at the Waterfall in Delaware. Graduation is on, I'm sorry, graduation's on June the 8th. And I just want to make one more quick announcement. Parents, please look at the requirements. There are different requirements this year for your children to graduate. Ms. Moreau made that announcement months ago. Please look at the requirements. Please know how many credits your student has. Please don't wait till May and say, well, I didn't know. I'm telling you now, get to the schoolhouse and see about your kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Hodges?
Madam President, my name is Mary Hodges, and I live in Collingdale. I've been there for 5 years, and I'm here to express my concerns regarding the operation or lack thereof of the Southeast Delco Department of Special Education. I am here tonight as an advocate for my great-granddaughter. I will begin by giving a little background information so that you are aware of the knowledge from whence I speak. While raising my 5 daughters, I served several years on the Kingwood Township Elementary School Board of Education. So I know the time and effort you all put in, and hopefully to give every child its due. My great-granddaughter's mother, one of my 5 daughters, is also a special education teacher, and she also has administrative certification. She has taught in that profession both in residential facilities and elementary school, public school system, elementary for 25 years in Chester County, and for the past 7 years on secondary education, special education students in Delaware. The following is a recap of my daughter's experience with the Southeast Delco Special Education Department. When my great-granddaughter began school at the Kindergarten Center, 2021 and 22, her final DCIU IEP should have been adopted and followed immediately until a new IEP could be written. The result was that testing needed to be completed and a new IEP established. This took 7 weeks into the school year. This could have and should have been done over the summer. It was not, and as a result, instead of hitting the ground running, services were delayed. This year, first grade, we are halfway through the school year, and guess what? My great-granddaughter had her first physical therapy session February 9th, the first class since July 22. Unfortunately, this transpired after many months of correspondence, both in emails and phone conversations by myself and my daughter with the Director of Special Education, Dr. Gibbs Tapper. My question is, what is Plan B in the case that a contractor does not deliver the contracted services? An IEP is a contract, a legal document. You can tell I'm a little bit irritated, just excuse me. The contractor hired to provide services was in violation of my great-granddaughter's required IEP for some 6 months. Is there a penalty clause in this contract? It is apparent. The only penalty is upon my great-granddaughter. Regression, starting over, and being pulled from academics. Do Due to lack of school year planning on the part of the Director of Special Education, my great-granddaughter is expected to miss out on reading, writing, math, or another academic subject due to, now we're going to do compensation classes. Okay? What are the mechanics regarding preparation for special education pupils so that they may hit the ground running on the first day of school? I look forward to having these questions addressed. My great-granddaughter cannot afford to miss any class due to someone else's lack of job performance.
Thank you.
I expect Southeast Delco Department of Special Education to own its repeated lapse in attending the needs of my granddaughter and all students who have not received the required services. The teachers, principals, and those giving my great-granddaughter speech and occupational therapy at both the kindergarten center and Harris have been absolutely wonderful. I have found that the right thing to do is most often the most difficult. I do not, at my age, need to embark on a mission, but have no doubt I will, if necessary. I want the right thing for every child, and I want ownership of the issues I have presented. And as an aside, during my 40-plus years in the corporate America, how I got through doing the right thing with some winners, I have this next to my desk. And I look at that every time that I think, uh-oh, I cannot give up. And for the audience, check out this pelican and this frog. He's got his hands around his neck. He ain't giving up. And I'm not either.
Thank you, Ms. Hodges. The superintendent will respond to your concerns.
I've been calling her. Janine McDonald.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Janine Bristow McDonald, the school counselor at Delcroft School. February 6th to the 10th was National School Counselor Week. This is not a week of recognition or appreciation, but it is viewed as a week to promote the to educate others about the role of school counselors. Dr. Widener has shared some of our duties and responsibilities through her presentations related to the comprehensive plan and the high school counseling program. The role of the high school counselor is very different from the K-8 school counselors. One of the biggest discrepancies is our caseload. The American School Counselor Association recommends a caseload of 250 students to one school counselor. My current caseload is over 600, which is common for our 1 to 8 schools, with Harris having over 700 students. Along with high caseloads, we are often members of key teams in the school, such as MTSS, PBS, and the Threat Assessment Team. In the 1 to 8 buildings, we are the Student Assistance Program Coordinator. This is a supplemental paid position at the high school level. I'm also often the LEA and IEP meetings, which means I represent the school district in those IEP meetings and not as the role of the school counselor. This I mention because of each of our buildings have a special ed program to support different populations of students. I support 8 autistic support classrooms at Delcroft. I am also the case manager for all the students with 504s in my building. When you view the data on attendance first notices in regards to truancy, school counselors are the individuals who meet with these families and create the attendance intervention plans, which for myself often takes almost a full day each week to accomplish, with the job of contacting the families, discussing the reasons for the absences, and then typing up the documentation for the plan. As part of the state initiative for career readiness, our students will be required to do at least one career exploration activity in all grades each year. School counselors will be required to track and document the completion of these activities for each student and report that data to the state every year. For me, that is 600 students plus. As a school counselor, I also provide individual and group counseling, academic failure meetings, conflict resolution meetings, classroom lessons, and all the paperwork required of school counselors. Along with these duties on an average day, I may be needed for any level of crisis intervention such as a suicidal comment, which requires a full assessment of safety, or a crying student who had a conflict with a peer. This, of course, isn't everything I do, but I only have 3 minutes. So every year, we also complete a K-12 guidance plan for the school district. It provides a wealth of information of our responsibilities and how our time is utilized. I've also had a handout for you from the American School Counselor Association on the roles and responsibilities for school counselors, including not appropriate responsibilities such as special education LEA, 504 case manager, and coordinating MTSS. You will note that providing long-term mental health therapy services is also not appropriate for school counselors. If a student is in need of these services, we work with families on linkages in the community. We are not licensed to provide these services, and it would be unethical for us to do so. We love our students, and we want to provide them with the best services possible. I know I'm an excellent school counselor, but with a caseload of over 600, I know I'm not providing the quality of service that all my students and families need or deserve. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for letting me do that in under 3 minutes.
Hold on, Ms. McDonald, I have a question. How long have you had a caseload of 600 or more?
I've been with the district for, since 2001. I started in Sharon Hill in a K-5 school, K-6, and I had 500 plus then. So I've continued to have over, and at Delcroft, I've always had over 600, getting as close to 700 before COVID. I've never had a caseload over 500, 600.
Under? You've
Under,
never had a caseload?
sorry, under.
Okay,
Yeah.
since 2001, you said?
2001.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions? Feel free to email or call me if you have any more.
Margaret Bing?
Hello?
Hello?
I have a question.
For Ms. Monroe? For Mrs. McDonald?
I have a question for the counselor.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am?
This is Ms. Monroe witness. So I'm sorry for my voice. So you have a caseload
Yes,
of
ma'am.
over 600 plus students,
Yes, ma'am.
whether it's in the high school or in some capacity in the district.
I am at I'm at a 1 to 8 school. I'm at Delcroft School.
And you have over 600.
All of our 1 to 8 schools have over 600 students in the caseload and 1 counselor.
And you've been in the district since 2000.
Yes, ma'am. I'm an old lady.
So, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, I would like to make a motion. So I move that we move this teachers who have not been on the right step and or column to at least move 2. Because they're doing the job of 2 people at this point.
Isn't that an HR executive session discussion?
Yeah, that would be a negotiation item for the
Okay.
negotiation team.
So how soon can we follow up on that? Because I believe I brought that up in December.
So the plan is to talk to you in executive session, which is why I said we need to meet, and then we'll go from there. Thank you.
Was there any other?
And I rescind my motion.
Thank you. Were there any more? Okay, great.
Michelle McGowan? Oh. You went to the checkoff file, I'm sorry.
That's all right. My comment, seniors were given papers on pathways to graduation in January, and I spoke on this at the January board meeting. It is now the end of February, going into March next week. I've paid my son's dues short of $5, And I want to know, at what point will administration be letting parents know when their children have met those requirements, or what they can do or still need to do to graduate, because time is ticking?
Mr. Vogt? Are you in here? I can see. Do you have an answer now, or do you need to get back?
No, I can answer now. We've met with the seniors several times with regards to their pathways. I know that Dr. Lowry is also involved, and we're tracking the students, our entire senior class, we're tracking them on their pathways. We've designated Wednesdays after school from 2:15 to 2:55 specifically for our seniors to make sure that they are working on their pathways. A lot of that work is not going to be completed until the end of the year, because there's students that, while they did not pass the Keystone, we have not received our biology Keystone results yet back. That's probably coming in a number of weeks, but we have a number of students that will go, that have passed the class. Some have not passed the class, the trigger courses, so they're in credit recovery. Other students are going through the pathways, so it's a process of doing service learning projects, as well as applying to either a 4-year or 2-year college to meet some of the pathways for graduation. And that will be an ongoing process all the way up until the end of May. There was no global that went out. It went out in Google Messenger to all the students, all the seniors. We can certainly send that out.
So you're going to notify the parents?
We can certainly do that, yeah, absolutely.
And students who are, may not graduate, or they have, something missing that they need, are you agreeing to contact the families? And
Yes,
the
and
parents, so
that's
they're
been
notified?
ongoing, and even before this year with Act 158, students are aware that some students, unfortunately, because they lack meeting the local requirement, which is 28 credits, they will either be in credit recovery to try to make that, reach that limit, or they may have to go to summer school this summer to graduate. Won't be on time, but they will have an opportunity to graduate.
Okay, I think her concern was that parents weren't notified, but I do hear you
I
saying, I do hear you saying that the students were notified. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle McGowan?
Michelle McGowan, running for school board as a Democrat. I have my petition here in case anyone would like to sign. I first wanted to talk about, we have, in the agenda tonight, we have 8 resignations. That should mean there should be 8 exit interviews. I am imploring the board to begin to request to see the results of these exit interviews. Keep track of it in order to know what our school needs, what our faculty needs. In order to retain, there needs to be accountability. We need to collect data in order to be able to stem the tide of teachers leaving the district. Just putting it out there, I believe this should be a monthly reporting to the board. It doesn't have to be to the public. It definitely should be to the board of how many interviews you've had, what were the results of each of the interviews, so that you guys can keep track on what's going on with the people that are leaving, how we can possibly retain them, or how we can make improvements so that this doesn't continue to happen. Just putting that there. I wanted to talk about course selection for 8th grade students. They just had their course selection night at the high school on Tuesday. Notification for it didn't really happen until Friday, when the kids weren't in school. Then they got a piece of paper on Tuesday letting them know that later tonight was the course selection. That was not enough time for parents to either take off, to attend, to be able to go over this. This was a very unorganized event. When we went, they talked about the course selection guide that was on the website. So while we were at the meeting, I pulled up the course selection guide on the website. The course selection guide on the website is for the 2022 to 2023 year, not for the 2023 2024 school year that the kids are going to actually be attending. This information is outdated. It also has in there a course, a requirement for a course that no longer exists. So these kids can't even take the required course to take the one that they want because that course isn't in existence. The information is not clear. This was a major milestone for these kids. They're starting on their high school journey. This should be treated with celebration. This should be treated with collaboration and respect. This is a chance to get them pumped about going to high school. They're going to get ready to take charge of their own educational journey. So this should have been a very empowering moment, and it was just a wah-wah, because we didn't have, empowering speeches of here are the wonderful opportunities available to you. Here are things to get excited about coming to high school. It was just, here are the requirements. Yeah, you're going to pick this out. Parents, we won't even know when the kids are doing it because there's no communication. Please rethink this communication style. It isn't working. The parent is asking for when their kids are going to graduate, if they know. These are things that parents should know up front. We should never be asking when something is going to be happening. You should be oversharing. There should be global connects all the time. There was no global connects for at least Delcroft, but that was my thing. Thank you.
Stacy Dandridge.
Good evening, Board. Good evening, Madam President. I got a statement, then I also have a few questions that I can sit down and y'all can answer them now or later. In regards to, we had a lot of dialect tonight about safety with our students and at Academy Park in Southeast Delco School District. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but I noticed it last year because one of my close friends is the head track coach at Academy Park High School, and I go up there from time to time to help him out and just give him support because he's my friend. And I just noticed there's a lot of people on the track during the time when he has practice. And I think we talked about safety, and I think that makes that actual situation is compromised because all these different I've noticed they even have their signage on. All these different school districts, all these people from different neighborhoods, it seemed like it's an open floodgate for everybody to just come to Academy Park's field and practice. I've come there on the weekend and seen people having independent soccer leagues at our facilities. And I think that it's just really tearing our facilities down, as well as it's just inviting more and more people to come there because it's like an open market to just do anything you want up there. They leave a lot of trash. They bring up their individual people out, have tires. They don't take their trash with them. They don't clean up. And then my question is, after I just made that statement was, is there a protocol for the district's facilities to use?
Yes.
I'm also a chairman for the Darby Township Youth Athletic Association, and I am interested in trying to obtain some facilities so my Youth Athletic Association can use it for maybe developing some type of track team. We have some interest from some parents that may want to do that. Secondly, I was going to wonder if does these independent people who are coming up or organizations coming on are using our facilities in our school district, are they following the protocol? And thirdly, outside of that, who is responsible for making sure that they do follow the protocol? Because I'm telling you, the wear and tear that they're putting on the track and different things like that in facilities, I'm a taxpayer and it's going to drive our taxes up because we have to replace all these things, all these outside people to come in the district that have nothing to do with our school district, pay no school taxes, pay no property taxes in our area, is running our facilities as a whole. There's no other school district that I see around. I go around. It's not open market to Upper Darby. It's not open market to Ridley. It's not open market to Interborough. There's no open market to, I'm sure it's not going to be open market to William Penn School District with their new facility they poured money into. So I think we need to address this situation because it's already out of hand. That's all.
Mr. Dandridge, Mr. Curry, you wave your hand, is our facilities director, and he will communicate with you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Latanya Manson.
Latanya Manson, Darby Township. So, first I want to start off with this. Hi, because I ain't been up here in about 2 months. I ain't seen y'all. I needed a break. Y'all was breaking me down. I needed a break, but I'm back. So, let's start here. The first thing I want to talk about is taxes. The only person that can answer that is Mr. Butler. Mr. Butler, please don't come to me with the answer when you answer me back about the charter schools, because it ain't nothing we going to be able to do. They going to go where they going. I'm looking at all this money that we giving people. We invested in our students, which is fine, and I'm grateful for that. That's good. I just need to know, because I looked on the committee of the whole meeting, and I seen your report where you talked about, it's something over there that says 6%. And then it says to be determined. So I just need you to let us know ahead of time and not in July about taxes that's getting ready to go up, because we seem to be spending a whole bunch of money, and I can see our taxes is getting ready to go up. It just looks like it's just getting ready to go. Did we use all the money in the ESSERS grant? Has that been used? And when does it have to be used? Do we have a time limit that needs to be done? Also, Ms. Crawley, I guess this one is for you. Mr. Butler's contract, or it might be somebody else. I don't know who in charge of that. I ask y'all all the time about Mr. Butler's contract, because we can't do nothing without Mr. Butler. And Mr. Butler is the one that's making sure that the funds and the monies is moving and shaking and going where we need it to go, and we able to hire new people and hire different organizations and things to help out with our students. So I need y'all to be thinking about his contract, especially since these taxes is getting ready to come. So he needs to be paid, but y'all need to make sure that it's within our budget, and y'all need to be talking to him ahead of time. Don't wait until the last minute about his contract. Cheerleading. You know I'm coming. So, I asked y'all for money for camp. I got that 4 months after camp. Came 4 months. I know it did, because that's when the parent called up to the school and asked for the money back. Second, things that we normally get for cheerleading, we didn't get this year. I didn't get bloomers. My girls are wearing the same bloomers. My uniform, this is my year to get uniforms. We are wearing the same uniform since 2017 that have bloomers attached to it. So that means that we're wearing the same stuff, even though my girls, you know, they have other bloomers that they get to wear. They have other bloomers that they get to wear. So we need to make sure that they're getting their bloomers. There are things that they're supposed to have for the upcoming school year. And like I said, this is our year for Chromebooks. And with our athletic director not being available, we do have 2 assistant athletic directors, but I needed to be known that these are things that are supposed to be ordered by January, and here we are in February about to hit March. So I don't want to have to come back up to you guys, because you know I will. I'll come up here every day, every meeting, telling y'all my cheerleaders don't have this, my cheerleaders don't have that. Yes, my parents pay for some things, but they are not supposed to pay for bloomers, crop tops, or socks. That is your job. That's part of, since I've been here, for the 18 years that I've been here. And the
Excuse
last
me,
thing I wanted-
did you submit your request in writing?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right. I'm
And-
sure that the person will respond who's
Okay.
responsible for that.
And my last thing, Mr. Butler, all these years, and it got to be you, because you're the only one with the finances. My W-2s have never been sent to the high school. Never. They've always come in the mail. So for me to get my W-2s February 14th, knowing that I'm supposed to have them on by the 31st of January, that's a problem.
like I said, my stuff never comes in. My check don't even come to the high school. I don't even understand how it even got there, and the fact that it was open. So, you know, I'm a little pissed off with that. Because everybody don't need to know about the little bit of money that I get from y'all. So I expect some type of answers.
Thank
See
you.
y'all next week. I mean, couple weeks.
That's the last one? Okay. Future meetings, our upcoming committee of the whole is Thursday, March 16th, 2023 at 6 PM. Our next board meeting is Thursday, March 23rd, 2023 at 7 PM. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned.